Yay. There we go. Welcome to the book release reading for Through Pine Shadows by Carol R. Sunde. Hold it up for you guys. Beautiful cover. And Dining Al Fresco with My Dog by Sue Fagalde Lick. There we go. Another beautiful cover with the cover photo taken by the poet herself. I'm Lana Heckman Ayers, managing editor for MoonPath Press, and I'd like to thank you for showing up for poetry as spring is on the cusp of summer while tragedies continue all around the world. I've always believed that poetry is a beacon that shines light on all of life, on the beauty and the hardships and the difficulties and the loveliness. Sharing and listening and reading poetry inspires us toward compassion and becoming our best selves. So thank you for being here. And let me introduce our first reader. Carol R. Sunde, from her beginning, loved words and poetry. She delighted in her mother's dramatic renditions of nursery rhymes and poems such as Up the Airy Mountain. Raised in a forest city, a small Iowa town, Carol attended St. Olaf College. After graduating with a degree in English and speech education, she toured the U.S. for over a year with the Bishop's Company, a drama in the church repertory organization. Carol later found employment as a social worker in Los Angeles, eventually earning her master's and then doctorate in social work. When she retired from being a counselor at Grays Harbor College in Westport, Washington, she plunged into her lifelong interest in poetry by completing a certificate in poetry from the University of Washington. Her poems have appeared in the Comstock Review, Passenger, Raven Chronicles, and elsewhere. Besides poetry, Carol enjoys yoga, bird and sky watching, travel, and camping on Mount Rainier. Through Pine Shadows is her debut full-length collection of poems. Carol, please unmute and read for us. Welcome.
Am I unmuted? Okay. Well, hello and welcome to everybody. I appreciate you all for coming and for letting us share with you some of our poetry. A huge thank you to Lana and to MoonPath Press for sponsoring this reading, and of course, for publishing my very first poetry collection, Through Pine Shadows. I'm very honored to share this reading time with Sue Licht, a well-published and gifted poet. My book of poems, Through Pine Shadows, consists of imagined and reality-based life journey poems. So yes, it is very broad in scope and includes poems of childhood, being an adult, and ending. I'll be sharing a little smorgasbord of poems to give you a small taste of what the book's contents are like. When I was reviewing the book's contents to decide what to read, I noticed that I mentioned birds in a lot of my poems. So I'll begin with a poem that resulted from a birding trip to Texas. Life list edition of a tropical species in Texas. The first time ever I saw a green jay, I exploded, well, Heidi-ho, look at you, black, true blue, varied greens, yellow, stupendously feathered creation. And when you flew with a changing arrangement of colors, I exclaimed, wow, you do that how? More than fancy tail flares or wings singing wide. More like a bedazzling jewel in flight, riding dappled light. What a sight, you green joy, Jay, my new love. No, not forgotten. The spoonbill's pink, and avocet's pink breeding plumage. A warbler in black and white circling a tree trunk, the royal red crown of the whooping crane. Yet, for now, forever, really, it is you, green jay, at the feeding station, filling your downy belly with grapefruit and suet as you feel my eyes and every atom of me, then flit through the forest. It is you who makes me want to grow feathers, sing avian songs, fly the sky, slip through woodlands, line our twiggy nest with dry grass and soft moss. And here comes another one that includes birds, but it's quite different in tone from the previous one. Past 70, I talk to birds. Today, cormorants, like dull ornaments, pose on Chehalis River pilings. No sun shines to dry their wings, stretched and hung like sodden little morning cloaks dripping into the harbor. Sometimes I wish I were already flown beyond familiar shores. But tell me, oh you cormorants, wouldn't I regret all the lost fish? Gulls complain. Otherwise, silence. And now to move to a different life journey place, a poem related to childhood. Absence. Way too soon, death stole Dad, leaving his wife, 2 daughters, too young to remember him, and an unborn son. Black and white, blurred by time, Easter by the basket of candy eggs my sister clutches. My favorite picture of Dad. Beside our farmhouse, a moon-faced Norwegian, dressed for church, beams his pleasure, posing with his daughters. He cradles me to his chest. Ella leans against his leg. We would visit him annually at West Prairie, plant geraniums beside his tombstone. Then let that good man stay buried. As a child, I felt special. Our daddy was dead. As a teen, I sensed the empty space. If he'd lived, we kids would have grown up on the farm instead of in town, named our dog Frigg instead of Princess. Mom might have smiled more. If he had lived, would I recognize the me I'd be? Of course, drastic absences can adversely affect a child or a person, sometimes causing them to feel like someone who doesn't belong, like a misfit. This next poem is entitled Misfit. When champagne is needed, I suggest cod liver oil. In a string quartet, I am a gate-crashing tuba. When others smile, I often smirk. In a bowl full of sweet plums, I am a fiery radish. Among nasturtiums, I am a thistle. Yet some few do appreciate me. Certain goats and sheep in spring, songbirds when I have gone to seed. Needs more. The next poem also relates another childhood experience. I call it Over the Moon. Those cows are outstanding in their field. The pun always tickles my big sister Ella. She shares it with Lulu and Blue, mouthing their cud, their pasture fragrant with manure and morning. Hearing their receptive moos, Ella grins, scrambles over the fence, skips around the cows, chanting, "Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon." From Graham's porch, I scowl, drenched in gloom, wishing to be my smart, pretty sister. Ella yells, "Come on, swing time." We scamper to the oak tree hung with straw-stuffed gunny sacks. Run, jump, straddle the bags, and sail up and down the sky. Together, under the sun, over the moon. You no doubt recognized the Mother Goose nursery rhyme in that last poem. And you also no doubt know poets can be inspired by other writers' words. This next poem is definitely inspired by another poet's word and structure, and also by a mountain I adore, Tahoma, also known as Mount Rainier. Tahoma, an homage to William Butler Yeats. I will arise and go now, and go to the mountain, raise my yellow tent beside her white river, wander lupine meadows, cool my toes in Shadow Lake, see pines, point to constellations, hear stars retell their stories. I shall have some peace there as Tahoma rules the sky. Give no regard to volcano hearts waiting to explode. Peace comes easy like the dawn. Dark fears recede in river sounds. Even jays' raucous cries seem lullabies. I will arise and go now, for always night and day. I feel Tahoma's glacier glory, hear her wind-blown songs. Especially when I sink in sorrow, collapse in disarray, Tahoma sends her comfort melodies directly to my soul. By the way, William Butler Yeats was born on June 13th. Today, yay. Poems, of course, can arise, be inspired by, if you will, by many different things, places, thoughts, people, experiences. I think poets are especially compelled to express strong feelings of love, loss, grief in poetry. Sometimes the weight is too much, too heavy, too hard to keep inside. After the death of my mother, I wrote this poem. After the call, with an epigraph. How shall the heart be reconciled to its feast of losses? Stanley Kunitz. A burnt coffee taste in my mouth. I dash the half-mile to the ocean. Dune grass slaps my legs. Clouds bury the sky. Waves repeat, your mother is gone, your mother is gone. Sea winds moan litanies as I mechanically scan the tide's offerings. From sand dollars, kelp, and feathers, I rescue a beach agate, hold in my cold, hard hand a miniature mountain. The amber stone with rust-colored veins gleams from every angle, each crystal slope, each etched crevice. I'll keep her, Mom would have said. See how it contains, yet lets brightness through. Despite a bitter Iowa winter, why didn't I go back for her last birthday? She is my rock, my beach agate, inviting sunlight to enter, dwell within, then shine, a beacon for sweet and sour times. When the world seems wonky, wrong, almost unbearable, where is a refuge? One place for me is at the ocean. This next poem is called Refuge. Horizon and sky close in as marine mist stealthily obscures ocean, land, space. No wide, wondrous world in this cloudy enclosure. Yet pleasures abound without the expanse, the demands to see too much. Sand slippers my feet. Muffled foghorns play the blues. Wind is my masseuse. In this place, circled with soft nimbus walls, war, disease, evil, dampen, diminish, in sea fragrance, solitude, salt taste on the tongue. I'll close my reader section with another poem that suggests a refuge. A place to linger. By the side of a river, I will lay down my sorrows and drowse. In a dandelion haze, enchanting winds mumble, embrace and caress me with the softness of a hummingbird's easy breathing breast feathers. When I rouse, I lift my eyes skyward and see blue quiet, mellow sun walking home through pine shadows. The path is paved with cushiony moss. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol, for that lovely reading.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce Sue Fagalde Lick. Sue Fagalde Lick has long lived a life that doesn't fit the mainstream script for women of her generation. Married twice, divorced once, widowed once, she never had children. At 44, she escaped life as a journalist in Silicon Valley with her late husband to live out their dreams on the Oregon coast. She earned her MFA in creative writing at Antioch University, Los Angeles at 51 and has birthed more than a dozen books, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, while building a second career as a musician. While others her age devote their days to grandchildren and volunteer work, she writes, teaches, talks, walks, and sings her own songs. Her poems have appeared in numerous literary magazines and anthologies from Pandemic to Protest, Opening the Gate, and Into the Azorian Sea. She's published 3 chapbooks, including her most recent Blue Chip Stamp Guitar. She's published several books of prose, including her forthcoming memoir, No Way Out of This: Loving a Partner with Alzheimer's. When not writing, she leads an alternate life as a Catholic music minister. Welcome, Sue. Please read for us.
Thank you. Gee, that sounds like I've been very busy. Thank you so much. This is my first full-length poetry book, and I'm very, very pleased to have it published and by MoonPath. Lana's been a great editor, even though the first thing she did was change the title and take out about 10 poems. Other MoonPath authors may identify, but she was right, of course. And yes, so dining al fresco with my dog includes a lot of poems that talk about adjusting to life in the Oregon coastal forest as a widow by myself, for most of that time with my dog Annie, to whom the book is dedicated. And you'll probably hear a bit about Annie as we go along, and just a lot of things. And you also hear about our community. I live in South Beach, which is just south of Newport, and it's a small town life, which I really enjoy. And there are many characters. So the first poem is called Midnight Hot Tub. The neighbors are sleeping, their windows dark. Only the amber street lamp, muted by fog, lights our way, the white-muzzled dog and I, from house to deck to the tub that hums, bromine feeder swirling around. As the dog whisper barks at raccoons, I drop my towel and flip-flops on the chair, push the lid open against an insistent breeze, perch on the narrow blue plastic ledge and lower my restless legs into the bubbly broth. I'd only planned to soak my calves. Lower, lower, cry my knees and thighs. Now my robe is wet, my nightgown too. I fling them off. Naked, I splash in all the way to the corner where he sat, penis afloat. Alone in the dark, unable to see each other's eyes, watched over by dog, trees, moon, and stars, we'd squirt each other with little plastic ducks and say what we kept hidden in the light until he'd pull me close, wet breasts against his chest. Bark. No, mustn't wake the neighbors. Tail up, the dog patrols the chain link fence, then settles on the chaise lounge, watching me stick my pink polished toes in the air, waving at the invisible moon and stars, and him. Okay, so I'm scrolling, and I thought I would have the navigation pane visible, but now it's not, so this takes seconds. It's okay. This one is called Kneading with a K, Kneading. Radio blasting news, she stands at the sink, massaging woolite into her red sweater as the water turns pink. Her hands knead wool as if it were dough for homemade bread that she will eat warm, dripping with butter. Or his stiff shoulders, her fingers rub, squeeze, flatten, and fold, working in circles, pushing hard, harder as he moans. But this is just a sweater. Rinsing away the soap, she lifts it out, heavy, dripping on her feet. Her old fingers ache. All right. Everything does kind of change when you're on your own. Some very good though. So not all terrible. It's not, you know. Widow's rags. I'm dressing like a man these days. Wore out my husband's flannel shirts, bought some more in my own size. I wear them over polo shirts and jeans with lace-up leather hiking boots. I let the girl cut my hair so short there's nothing to grab anymore. The back of my neck is shaved, like his. Sure, I have breasts, but I hide them. And yes, I have a fuzzy face. I do. Without my earrings and my paint, I could pass for a man. One of those wrinkled, rugged cowboy types. Just slap on a Stetson hat and let my mustache have its way. I'm turning butch in my old age. Now I'm a wife and husband too, hauling the wood, cooking the steaks, fixing the roof, driving the truck. His clothes fit well and keep me warm. A dress would feel foolish now. And who's looking anyway? See, I'm sitting at my front window looking straight across at the person this one's about at his house. Driveway friend. He's a driveway friend. You know the kind. When you're washing the car, he comes over, looks around, says, "Great weather, huh?" And you say, "Sure is," as you scrub at dead bugs plastered to your license plate. Maybe you mentioned the raccoon that trashed your bird feeder last night, and he says he saw a coyote here last week. He watches you work. "Do you like venison?" You say, "Sure." "Well, I'll bring you some." You think about how your dog likes to lick the crusted blood off his pickup truck and how you hate seeing the elk head staring from his living room wall. And he has no idea what you do or where you go some mornings all dressed up with piles of books. But you're just driveway friends. So you rinse off the bugs, stand to stretch your aching knees and say, "Thanks, that'll be great." He doesn't know you don't eat meat, but he'll forget his offer anyway. All right. So picture yourself on the other side of this big window looking in at my living room. Surveillance report. Lights go on at 6:15. I see her in the kitchen, then she disappears. 7:02 at the table, gray robe, reading, fire in the pellet stove, dog sprawled on the love seat. Our records show she's 68, widowed, no kids, alone. She plays piano at church. Website, blog, Facebook. A writer. Several books. None I'd want to read. 10:13, still in her robe, standing by the stove, writing. Cold, I guess. 12:08. Here she comes, dressed at last. Jeans, baggy shirt, baseball cap. Kitchen table, lunch. Dog hanging close. She reads, eats, reads. Now she's down the hall. Can I take a break? There's nothing happening here. 3 p.m. Heavy downpour, but she's coming out. Mismatched rain gear, dog on leash. I'm bored. Dog shitting, call the cops. Nope, she's bagging it. 6 p.m. Getting dark. Stove, table, stove, sitting with the dog again. I fell asleep. It's 10 p.m. She takes pills, hugs dog. Lights go out at 10:15. End of shift report. Eats 3 times a day, keeps warm. Still alive. Thank you. Smoke signals. Across the street, gray smoke puffs out of the chimney, threads through spruce and alder, and spreads out heading west. The kitchen lights are on, my neighbor at the sink, making sandwiches at dawn, her dog alert for crumbs. Over here, I start the fire, turn on the kitchen lamp, take my dog outside to pee, put a kettle on for tea. My smoke mingles with hers. My lamp shines in the dark. I look across the street and wave. And so begins another day. Doop, 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 doop. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Oh, okay. This one is called Blackjack. Kind of obsessed with dogs, but that's okay. When I walk down the street, I know all the dogs. I don't necessarily know all the people, but I know all the dogs. This one's called Blackjack. There he is again, the old man whose hands break my heart, stiff and wrinkled like my dad's. We're nearing the end of our walk, but he smiles. Annie speeds up, pulls me along. He waits for us. Good boy, he says, patting her head. She dog smiles, wags her tail. You're a good dog, yes you are. Finally, he looks up at me. Lived here long? 22 years. Well, I was one of the first. Name's Johnson. Big Spruce, he calls his place. He lives up past the iron gate. Now, in the middle of Birch Street, leaning on his hand-carved cane, he pets my old girl and talks about the dog he used to have. Got him up in Depot Bay. One day this Dobie came running up. Are you mean? I asked. Some are, you know. He answered with a big old sloppy kiss, sat down like he belonged. His owner said, want to buy him? I said, yeah. He talks like my father used to do, words gushing out, same blue eyes, begging me to listen. I push away thoughts of hospital beds, oxygen masks, Dad's thin voice pleading, let me die. Mr. Johnson here is still alive. He rubs my dog's white snout. Oh, Blackjack was good, about this size. Best friend I ever had. His back gave out, and I had to put him down. He stares. A dove coos somewhere, wind sighs. A white pickup passes, spreading diesel fumes. Well, I'm on my daily walk up and down this street, he says. Us too. Guess we better go. I love you, boy, he tells my girl. Tears streaming down my face, I feel him watch us trot away. Don't you hate it when they get your dog's gender wrong? It happens all the time. It's like, she has no penis. She is a girl. But anyway. Anyway, so yes, before the pandemic, we had these stone soup suppers where members of various churches in the community around Newport gathered at the Episcopal Church here and gave a supper for the homeless people. And of course, and I used to play music there, and it was very interesting audience. Since COVID, they've gone to takeout, so we don't gather anymore. They just get a bag, which is sad. But wrote this poem after playing there one night. While I play at the stone soup supper, hear that music? See that old lady playing boogie on the church piano? It's warm in here, smells like chicken, like Grandma's house when she wasn't dead. My own mother never cooked. Yours? Only meth, but I hear you, bro. What's that? Some 50s music shit? Old piano bar mama rocking silver hair? Hey, I'm in line here. Wait your turn. Don't touch my pack or I'll hurt you. Never thought a tater could taste so fucking good. Did you see the apple pie? Gonna get me some. What's that song? I know it like my name. Hey, lady. Old Joe Clark? Yeah, thanks. Hey, dude, ask her for some hip hop. I hate these grandma songs. Leave her alone. She's having fun. I'd tip her $1 if I had one. Shit, they're peeling up the tablecloths, but the old gal's just hit her groove. Where am I sleeping? Wherever. I'm not leaving till she quits playing. Thanks. Okay. Another local character. This is called This Pearl Comes with Extra Salt. We get to talking in the beauty shop, the waitress with the dye setting in, me under the plastic drape getting my mom hair clipped even shorter by Carlia, whose breasts threatened to spill out of her low-cut top, and her little girl on summer break sweeping up hair and perusing People magazine while the live masseuse does yoga stretches beside her empty chair. Turns out we all know Pearl, the old lady who's everywhere and cannot be pleased. She used to own the building where Carlia worked, but comes stomping up the stairs for rent, squinting through the hairspray fumes, scowling at the nail girl doing acrylic tips on her own fingers while chatting on her phone. Pearl hasn't changed her hair since 1942. Pearl, says the waitress, spinning in her chair. She comes to the restaurant every single day, sits in the same booth by the window. She doesn't like anything, I swear, even the coffee. Too strong, she says, but she comes back every day, and she sits there forever. Some of the girls don't even want to wait on her. Seriously, we fight over who gets Fussy Pearl today. But she cleans her plate, and she always tips. In the mirror, massage girl goes into triangle pose. I know Pearl from church, I say. She always looks like she just tasted something foul. Aha, says the chorus at the beauty salon. I've been the victim of her tart tongue, too. Oh, yeah. She doesn't like the music. She's mad about the candles, the chairs, and the altar girl. Complains to the bishop when the priest blows his nose. But she comes to church 7 days a week. Then she goes to the restaurant to eat, after which she gets a wash and set, says Carlia, putting her scissors down, checking to see if my side hairs match. When she plugs in the dryer, all I can hear is the roar. Well, I think about Pearl in her long wool coat, sharing the pew with Madge, tiny, half deaf, her lips always turned up in a smile. I wonder, does anyone know Pearl's last name? Whether she has a family or where she lives? Head shake in the silence as the dryer stops. Carlia unsnaps the drape from around my neck. No, but I'm pretty sure she's kind of rich. And tough, says the massage girl from Downward Dog. All's I know, adds the waitress with the blonding hair, is I hope I'm just as strong when I get old. Yes, we agree, but nicer, adds Carlia's daughter, as she sweeps my cuttings into the dustpan in a swirling cloud of black and gray. The mirror shows wrinkles and perfect hair as I write a check for $30. I step out into the sun thinking, today I'll invite Pearl to join me over lunch. I know she'll probably turn me down. Thanks. Oh, yeah. One of the places my husband and I used to go all the time was Fishtails Cafe. If you're ever in Newport, give it a shot. Next to Pirate's Plunder, which is all kinds of odd things you can buy. Fishtails Cafe. The waitress Connie calls me beautiful. I take my usual two-top near the kitchen, sun shining on the checkered tablecloth under the picture of a fisherman with his halibut, and thank her for my tall iced tea, no lemon. I've got the menu memorized. The specials never change. Tuna melt, turkey club, Reuben, burger, snapper, ham and eggs, omelet, biscuits and gravy, country fries, coleslaw, cream of something soup. Grandma, do we still have it? Connie yells. Younger than me with a southern drawl, Grandma relays the question to Jose, who answers, "See." The place fills with tourists and fishermen, construction guys, couples sneaking out for lunch. I have to shout to order the tuna melt. I pull out my book, my journal, my phone, and set them up like condiments to go with the entree when it comes. Here you go, beautiful. It looks so good. It's just a sandwich and runny slaw, but I set my phone and book aside and take the bread between my lips like I'm making love to that tuna melt, dressing dripping down my chin. When Fishtails was new, I used to come with my handsome bearded man. No books, no phone, no journal then. We sat at this table holding hands. The tea and tuna melt haven't changed. $11, $2 tip. How is it, sweetheart? Connie asks. I nod, my mouth too full to speak. I'm caught up like that halibut, unable to resist the shiny lure of mismatched tables, chairs that rock, and someone who calls me beautiful. Thank you. Oh, that's right. When my brother visits from California, he wants to know why we're always talking about the weather here. Well, it's a thing, It affects everything you do. So there's a couple of weather poems here. We don't get too many ice storms, thank God, but we have them occasionally, and there was this one. The title is Will I Go to Heaven If I Die on the Way to Church? It's icy, 7:30 a.m. and my feet can't get traction on the sidewalk. So I tiptoe across the frozen lawn, clear the windshield enough to see, and ease the car down the ice rink road. As I head downhill, I tap the brakes. They crunch, but don't stop the car. I slalom all the way to the highway. Anyone coming? Can't see, can't stop. I spin out, fishtail, find myself inching along a sheet of ice, chanting, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God." He ought to be listening, since I'm driving to church to play the piano and lead the choir, if they show up, proclaiming his glory and all. But my hands are numb on the steering wheel, bare fingers, no time to find my gloves, fingers that need to hit righteous notes, holy notes, spirit-given notes, not flopping willy-nilly, tapping an SOS. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Ice sparkles under cloudy skies, roads perfectly glazed from edge to edge. I steer straight between the lines, pioneering the highway at dawn, praying the stoplight will not turn red before I cross the bridge into town. See the boats, the ridge blue water, coffee for sale on the Walgreens sign. Last sights for a woman sure to die. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. I haven't finished my will, haven't made my bed or emptied my trash. Who will feed the dog if I die? It wasn't supposed to freeze today. Staple store, crosswalks, center lane. Slowly turn and toboggan into the parking lot. Can't see if my car is between the lines. Silence. I clasp my trembling hands and pray. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Made it. I resolved after that trip that if I can't walk on it, I'm not driving on it. I think this is the last of this set. Daring winter. Bite me cold with teeth of ice that tear into my goose pimpled flesh, make my skin itch and bleed, chill my blood till it moves like honey and all my organs traffic jam, my pulse gone so adagio I could sing a song between beats, crisp my hair, redden my nose, freeze my muscles till they barely move. You, drifting down as winter snow, oh, so pretty on the lawn. Just try to kill me. Go ahead. Wrap your fingers around my throat. Squeeze. Feel your power melt away, for I am fire hot inside. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue, for that wonderful reading.
Thank you.
And now I would like to invite folks, if they'd like, to unmute themselves and have some commentary with our poets or ask some questions. Does anyone have any questions or comments? If you'd like, you can unmute and go ahead and say hello. And
Sue,
Yo.
I'm curious about how your music impacts, I can hear it, but how it weaves with your poetry. Do the two disciplines talk to each other?
Some, I also write songs, but it's a very different experience. It really is. But definitely the rhythm is part of it. I can see that. Most of the songs rhyme, and I don't rhyme most of my poems, but I'm sure they do, just as the sounds, the rhythm and the sounds of the language, I'm sure they do talk to each other somewhat.
nice question.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any comments or questions? I kind of have a question. I think it's really interesting because you're sort of at wonderful places in your writing, both of you, and to have a first collection out, Carol, I wonder how that feels for you. you kind of started your poetry career after your first career, and now you have your first full-length book out. And then I'm wondering for Sue, she has 4 books out in the same year. What is that like? So
Some
you
of
know
us are
what answer.
slow writers.
Carol, do you want to start?
I was just gonna say, yeah, some of us are slow writers, but to have a book out is just really exciting. And I'm grateful that Lana chose to publish it. I kind of can't believe it. It seems so new that what is going on here? I got a book out.
Well, I like to tell people that, some of the best poets I know are in their 70s and 80s. I mean,
Sure.
and I really feel that way. And I think that there's a lot of undersung, beautiful, mature poets out there. And, I just feel so honored to be able to publish poets who've lived a lifetime of experience and have that to share with us.
Thank
Yeah,
you
I
so
agree.
much, Lana.
I agree. And you worry about ageism, but it's not happening in the poetry world as much, which is very nice. 4 books in 1 year is insane. It's like having quadruplets and you can't pay enough attention to any one of them. It's frustrating. I didn't write them all in 1 year. It's been a process over years and things clicked into place for each one. And each
Oh,
time it was like, oh my God, another one. Sort of like you didn't know you were having quadruplets.
Yeah. So you have the chapbook and you have this full-length book and you have your memoir and you also have, is it a novel in a series?
Yes, the 3rd novel in my Beaver Creek series. It's called Between the Bridges, and that's a very big relief to my mind to write fiction. It really is. Yeah, the memoir is scary, and I have an actual publicist working on that, and things are happening there, and it's all terrifying because when you're writing prose, you're telling your life straight out. It's not veiled in poems in any way. It's right there in bold English, and we'll see how that goes over.
Mm. Well, that's wonderful.
wow.
So, Carol,
Speak.
Carol, I just wanted to say it's so nice to hear you invoke somebody like Yeats. And sometimes I feel nobody reads anybody but Mary Oliver. And, because everybody quotes the same writers over and over and over again, as though there's nobody else in the world to choose from. And even though you go back to the early 20th century, Yeats is one of my favorites. And also to hear a woman quote Yeats instead of a woman quoting a woman, a man quoting a man. It's about time that we woke up and read some other people. And thanks for that. Thanks for having a sense of some history, at least of poetry, which I don't think most poets do these days. I think they're very limited in who their source material is. And the only other thing I wanted to say to Sue was my favorite line was, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, God." That was my favorite line. And because you repeated it twice.
Okay, 4 times actually.
And it's very musical. It's been used a lot by Johann Sebastian Bach.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. We do need more history. I mean, it does seem like nobody pays any attention to any poets before the last 10 years, and there's so many.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really kind of a shame. That I think it's important to know where we come from as poets. And to me, I've always
Yes.
believed that every poem you write is kind of in communication with every poem ever written. And you kind of have to get a history of knowledge and understand the background of poetry, both, globally and nationally. And then that's really important, I think, for one's craft and one's understanding of what you're writing towards, what you're writing against, what you're what you're writing conversation with. And so, yeah, I really agree with that, Michael. And it was wonderful to have Yates invoked, Carol.
Yes.
Are there other comments or questions or?
I think. Was
I
Terry
just-
trying to ask? Oh,
I just wanted to say that I so appreciate your work, both of you. And it's very inspiring as a poet myself. Things always come up when I'm hearing other people that I kind of relate to, and it gives me ideas. So I really appreciate you both reading tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Alice. Alice is a wonderful poet who unfortunately doesn't live in the Pacific Northwest, so she's not eligible for MoonPath, but I just adore her work, and she's a wonderful poet, and I appreciate her coming to hear more poets. And she's kind of a buddy of mine in the classes that we take. We're both in classes with Matthew Dickman. And she's
Oh,
just wonderful.
wow.
I just adore her. Well, if there are no more comments, I would like to close out the reading with one more poem from each of our poets. So if you wouldn't mind to read another poem, Sue, and then we'll have Carol.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to read the title poem, Dining Out Fresco. So it goes back to childhood and then to the present. Do you want to eat inside or out? As soon as I say the words, I hear my mother asking my dad the same question circa 1963. In the summer in San Jose, 100 degrees in the house, the answer was usually yes. At his decree, we sprang into action. As the daughter, it was my job to carry everything out on a tarnished silver tray, back and forth, kitchen to patio, 2 steps up, 2 steps up, 2 steps down, 2 steps up. I juggled cups and lemonade, plastic tablecloth, 4 plates, paper napkins folded in half, silverware to hold them down. Dad, freshly showered after work, tended the smoky barbecue, sipping Miller's from a can. My brother, I don't know, playing some game in his room, not in training to be a mom. Back and forth, down and up. Potato salad, big yellow bowl, chili in the smaller green, olives in the smallest red. Ketchup, sliced white bread, butter on a plastic plate. When the meat was done, he'd ring the bell. Aprons off, Mom and I brought the rest. We straddled the wooden benches that flanked the redwood table, my little brother next to Mom, who passed the bowls around. As we ate, my father recounted his day, building houses in post-war suburbia. Okies, Dagos, the foreman, the kid, wires, ladders, pipes, and 2x4s. Goddamn this, bullshit that. As he swatted the flies, I saw the fresh cuts, the blackened thumbnail falling off. Squirrels chirped in the walnut tree. Robins pulled worms from the lawn. A breeze cooled the sweat on our necks as we reached for more of everything. Food just tasted better outside, and we had chocolate cake for dessert. Now, as I ask inside or out, already knowing what I prefer, the silent dog just watches me go back and forth, up and down. 1 fork, 1 plate, 1 glass of wine on a placemat on a TV tray. I set her bowl down on the deck as the robin hops across the grass and raccoons prowl beyond the fence. Bless us, O Lord, in these thy gifts. I wish we'd said grace or thank you to Mom, Dad, or God just once. I wish I'd saved that silver tray. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, Sue. Carol.
Thank you.
Um, This poem is that I'm going to share is a cento poetry form, which means, of course, it's made up of the words and phrases of other authors. And in this one, I really hit up on Rilke. And this is also in the form of a letter meant for friends, for strangers, and myself. Dear ones, who, if I cried out, would heed me if you listened? And still, I call out. Wherever you are, go, go out into the morning when the birds sing. to walk inside yourself. Just be. Diving ducks will dabble in shallow water. Kestrels hover and drop straight down, slipping through the molecules. Reflected in the eye of the owl is a great rose window of a cathedral. Loons, known for their haunting wail songs that tumble through the air. Try asking, what wonders are these? Why is there so much love in them? Hope, the thing with feathers? In your quest to escape from a sadness shell, bring your outer and inner lives into harmony. Be patient with everything unresolved in your heart. With the grace of air curved feathers and lifted wing, launch into another world. Dear ones, it's never too late for rhapsody. The end.
Oh, thank you so much, Carol. What a wonderful note. Well, thank you again to both our poets, Sue Fagalde Lick and Carol R. Sunde. And thanks to all of you, our audience, for being here. A poem is only ever truly complete when it has a listener or a reader. I hope you'll support our poets by getting copies of their books available through the poets themselves and available at your local bookstores. Just go in and ask, or online stores as well. I hope we'll see you back for the next MoonPath Press reading, which will happen on September 15th, and it will feature Donna Prinsmetal and Julene Tripp Weaver. Until then, have a lovely summer, and I hope you find poetry wherever you look. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting, Lana.
Yes.
Thank you. That
Thank you
was
so much.
lovely.